square off. This means that, hey, welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula. And Jonny Sue is still spinning it on the ones and twos. Thank you very much for everybody who joined on in. Remember, we have a Patreon if you can help out. We love our Patreons. We love the information you give us. We have a lot of chitter-chatter with you. And through our email, theconvocouch@gmail.com, right? We could always... this means I'm speaking too loud. This means speak up. So, got it. So, am I speaking too loud? All right. Trying to stay on kilter and stuff like that.
You don't usually need to speak up, fam. That's me.
Usually. Yeah, usually you have to speak up and I have to speak down. Because, we're polar opposites here, but that's what makes the Convo Couch what it is.
Yep.
What also makes the Convo Couch is what it is that we are willing to speak to everybody and let everybody have a place on our platform to speak up if they are running for office or if they are challenging something or if they have a certain issue. We might not agree with them, but we will bring them on the show and we will talk to them.
Right.
Just like our guest yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was some controversy with some people, some of you guys that, like that you felt like, oh, that's not, why do you have this person on? They're not a progressive. Well, they said they were progressive, right? And, I already knew where they stood, but hence this is we ask the questions and why we let people show us who they are. I don't want to tell you how someone is when they have the opportunity to show you who they are. And, and not everybody is going to agree with us and not everybody is going to like it. But that is news. I think we've gotten so used to having people that are biased, whether it's good bias, like it could be just progressive bias, or it could be bad bias, like, whatever you consider bad, whether it's the right or the super left or whatever you consider bad. We like to have different kinds of viewpoints, which is why we've had different kinds of guests here. And we're going to continue to have different candidates running for office here. And some of them we are not going to agree with. Yeah. And Pasta and I are really tough cookie. Like, we don't just look at domestic policy. We look at foreign policy, and the overwhelming majority of the candidates that come into interview, whether it's for Congress or local seats, don't really know about foreign policy. So nobody really passes a bar in general, but like, we like to give people the benefit of the doubt, get educated, see kind of how they think too. Cause it's good to sort of see and discuss how a different mind thinks.
Yeah. Can I say something too? A rule of thumb, and I put this on my Twitter the other day. Yeah. I'm going to say it again because some people say it's strike one, strike two. For me, I'm not going to ever support that young lady, and I won't do it, because if you come on and you start on any type of media, here's a new rule. If you're going to use Russiagate as an excuse that why we lost the election or why Donald Trump is in, if you're going to push Russiagate propaganda, then you do not get a pass on a lack of foreign policy knowledge. If you're going to say that Russiagate did shit, then you better know about your foreign policy. I'm so sick and tired of people cherry picking that because the masses agreed to it, because they've created Donald Trump as the evil man, and they can just say that stuff and then retract back and know shit from Shinola about foreign policy. And if they want to get caught up, excuse me one second, they can watch the Convo Couch, because we're having foreign policy specialist on all the time.
Sorry, and that's not saying Donald Trump hasn't done bad things, but the people that are just focused on things like Russiagate, like, you don't, like, that's one part of foreign policy that you should have researched and know, like, okay, if you're going to know about Russiagate, then you need to know about the contradictions of that and how really it was used by the Democratic establishment to avoid accountability for losing the election to Donald Trump, for Hillary being a terrible candidate, for not campaigning in Michigan, for literally leaving the rural Midwest to their own because she didn't think she needed them to win, for mocking Bernie supporters because she didn't think she needed them to win. Yeah. And those are the things that we want to talk about because we don't want it to happen again. And it seems like a lot of the Democratic Party establishment is on their way to doing the same thing all over again. So in an effort to avoid that, this is why we're constantly pointing out that this is all connected, because the foreign policy, it's really easy to blame another country for meddling in elections. We meddle in like every election. Yeah. And so it's very hypocritical. In order to progress, we have to know our mistakes and move forward. So
yeah, and plain and simple, if you're going to be an apologist for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, you better be ready to step up there.
Challenge with facts and not just, Hillary was a woman or whatever. I mean, obviously we disagree. And I think, and I think you guys see that, and I think you guys know that, like, and it's difficult though when you interview somebody. You don't want to be like, I don't want to be like, I want them to tell me more, so I'm not going to be like off-putting,
Well, also too, I don't want impeachment because it will totally Russiagate has the same thing, the same objective as Ukrainegate, and that's what they're going for the impeachment. They want to totally wipe away their nefarious and corrupt activities in the 2016 Democratic primary and just get a free pass on it and stuff. No, take your medicine. You lost to Donald Trump. Learn from it. Represent the people, not the donors, and then you'll beat Donald Trump. That's why it's so important to do away with this stupid impeachment nonsense, unless you're going to go after him for emoluments, but then you got to go after everybody and get to the next election. We should be standing up and saying, let's beat Donald Trump. Let's not erase what we did. And that's the thing. The Democrats don't want you to see what they did. They want to erase all their nefarious actions in 2016, and we saw it firsthand.
And Pasta, that is still your opinion about impeachment,
Absolutely.
but it's based on certain things that are factual. And that's the thing, like that's his opinion. Not everybody agrees on impeachment. Some people want impeachment regardless of, yes, I understand the Democrats are guilty. I still want to hold Donald Trump accountable. And that's okay to have that opinion, and we can have that discussion. But to just come at it with no basis for anything and just mainstream media, regurgitation, then of course that allows us to be like, okay, well then you need to do more research.
Yes.
It's just obviously a lack of education. So
well, I believe it's doing the mental gymnastics, number one, to make a situation that is bad, to make it look good. I mean, the way she explained things, and also the fact to not even know that what happened in Ukraine. To not even know that the two people that are heading up this impeachment process, Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, had their dirty carpet-bagging fingers in the Ukraine as they perpetuated regime change to make money for their family. Okay? I mean, I don't even want to hear it. At least freaking know what the hell is going on.
The majority of people, Pasta, don't know that.
Well, they better. If you're running for office, you should know. And if you're going to pull up Russiagate, another foreign policy issue, you should know what's going on. But here's the thing, fam. Just like what we're going to talk about, somebody who's losing a city council seat right now, she might win. That's where they get you. That's a stepping stone. You win a city council seat or a state assembly seat, the next step is Congress. So you better bring it to the table, and you better know what's going on, especially when it comes to the biggest power of a president. When you're talking about impeachment, you better understand that the presidency's most power comes as an executive in chief. So, I mean, you better know foreign policy.
I think we need to hold
it's
people
important.
to higher standards because, unfortunately, a lot of people in government right now, especially in state assembly or city council, they don't know anything about foreign policy. Congress, they don't either, and they should, because you're dealing with national issues. So. Anyway, so let's get started.
Yeah, George Bush didn't know the difference between a Sunni and a friggin' Shiite, ladies and gentlemen. Get real.
Well, George Bush wasn't the smartest.
Well, it just shows you everybody in Congress and everybody up to the friggin' president doesn't know. And the biggest powers they have, the most powers they have, they don't even know what the frig's going on. It's terrible, fam.
Okay, so right, so we have the socialist Kshama Sawant. She is likely to lose her seat. In case you guys didn't know, yesterday were the elections for local government, and for most states, Los Angeles moved theirs to be
for election time.
Yeah, with election time. But in Seattle, of course, one of the most prominent progressive voices, like literally, she's one of the most progressive politicians in our lifetime, and she has revitalized the structure of Seattle and made it into a more populist, working, socialist type of place. And she has challenged Amazon to a degree where they obviously needed to defeat her. So Kshama is the only incumbent in Seattle City Council who is likely to lose her seat. I say likely because I think she pretty much lost it, but there's still a few votes to be counted. They said last time they didn't really know till Wednesday, maybe Thursday, that she might still come back. But the important thing about this particular race is that Amazon put $1.5 million into a city council race, which is the most that they've ever spent on any race, period. And they put all this money into her opponent, Egan. And it's disgusting because basically what that means is if she loses, that Amazon was able to purchase a seat at the table in the city council, because that's exactly what they did. People over there were telling me yesterday on Twitter that they were attacking her, the real estate developers, the investors, all these people were putting so much money and propaganda into smearing her so she would lose her race. And it seems to have worked, and it's really it would be a huge loss for Seattle, which is a progressive city, Washington as a whole in general.
They got big money in there, and they took this guy. He used to live in the Shire near Bilbo Baggins. His name is Egan Orion, and they propped him up. They put 1.5 million into his race, and this is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. When you don't, when we talk about, they're suppressing us or they're keeping us down, this is the level they're dropping to. They understand. They see this swarm of people coming up. The truth tellers are starting to prevail because people are coming forth, and they're realizing they're becoming more woke. So now they're trying to suppress it at this level because, like I said, a city council seat, when you win that, it's a stepping stone to a state seat, to a national seat. So they want to really suppress you right there. So they can see this young lady. We know about Kshama Sawant, and they went after right here on a city council seat. It's amazing to see $1.5 million.
And she has been focused on Amazon, on taking them down, on holding them accountable. And what's going to happen is Amazon is pretty much going to take over Seattle if she gets put out, because nobody else is there pushing as hard. And there's another Democratic Socialist too that is also losing alongside with her. So what this tells us is that they're putting money in it because they're so afraid, because some of us are gaining power here. The progressives, whatever you want to call yourselves, the people's voices are gaining power, and they are using money to quell that power. And so yes, we did see a lot of wins yesterday for Democrats, but really the what means more are these Democrats on the side of the people. And she was one of them, and she's having a tough time, and that tells you these people are going to do everything they can in the next election to make sure that people like her don't get seats at the table or get ousted from their seats. And companies like Amazon should not have the ability to throw money into any candidate like that. That should just not be legal. And that is legal now. They are buying political power. And that is something we should all be very afraid of.
Yeah, and it's all connected. They use the media. They have all this money. They control the media. They suppress Kshama Sawant's voice. They don't get her on the major networks. Yeah. And it's been done to people up to Bernie Sanders running for president. You know how they gave Donald Trump all that airtime and whatnot. The media is part of the establishment. They do their bidding. They're their voice. So along with Amazon and the media and the establishment, they have suppressed and kept Kshama Sawant down. And we're talking about a true leftist here, right, fam? We're talking hardcore progressive person.
Like if she needs to run for Congress. That's my next push, is for her to run for Congress. We need her voice in Congress. If she can do that in a city council seat, imagine what she can do in Congress. So that is, to me, where we need to get more of our actual people in there. Congress, more than anything. Kentucky was another race that was also heavily in the news. Bevin was a very, very hated governor, and he was the governor-elect. Of course, he was a Republican. Kentucky is generally a red state. But he faced a lot of backlash for seeking to undercut the state Medicaid expansion. He called teachers selfish. Mm-hmm. He did this silly video. Keith Anthony Sikora shared it on Facebook yesterday with me, where he was just making a fool of himself. And he said that the teachers had a thug mentality. And basically he threatened to cut their pensions. So he had a really low approval rating. People were saying that anybody could have beat him, but the guy that beat him was Andy Bashir, and he won barely. He beat him barely.
You see the Libertarian coming in there, grabbing 2% of the votes, could have took him away from the Republican.
But that's what people were saying. Oh, see, this is what third parties screw. But that's the thing. You're not entitled to any votes. You don't know for sure that those votes wouldn't have gone to Bevin. Or you know what I mean? You don't know where those votes would have gone, or if they would have stayed home. Yeah. And that's the thing. You can't assume that that's a spoiler. Like, people have the right to vote for whoever they want to vote for.
And really, to tell you the truth, more than likely they're wrong about their whole ideology and stuff when it comes to the third party spoiling. In this particular case, a lot of libertarian votes are right-leaning. So when it helps them, they don't mention, oh, well, there's the third party there helping us out to win, to get our blue no matter who, Andy Bashir, in there. You know what I'm saying? And in the case of the last election, when they said, oh, Jill Stein got less than 2% of the votes. Gary Johnson got over 5%. More than likely, those libertarian votes took away from Donald Trump. We don't know. Yeah. But the fact that they use this kind of ideology, mental mindfuck to make you think that the third party, the progressives, are actually hurting and putting Donald Trump in power, that's bullshit. And it doesn't work. In this particular case right here, you don't see the party going, well, thank God for that libertarian. He probably helped us get us over the top. And Mr. Bevin, he even aligned himself with Donald Trump as much as he could to try to make this
race. He did, and he
painted
painted Bernie Sanders as a crazy socialist.
He did.
And so that actually hurt him. It's what it looks like. But one thing I do want to know about this race is that it's being challenged. So Bevin has not conceded yet.
He has.
And he says that there were irregularities going on all of a sudden. So let's see how much the Democrats fight that, right? Because when it's the Democrat on Democrat, they don't seem to care. But let's see how people react when it's a Republican telling them that there is irregularities. Obviously, I don't buy that there's irregularities. I think this guy just sucks so much that they beat him, because a lot of people that I was talking to in Seattle were saying like, oh no, this guy was terrible. Like, he was so bad. No, everybody could have beat him. Like, this guy is and Andy isn't necessarily super progressive, but he's left of center. And we were like, we're thrilled that anybody beat him, because this changes everything. This gives us the majority, more of the power. And so people were actually happy. And so I would consider this a victory. I'm not one to consider a victory unless it's actual progressives winning. But in this case, this guy was apparently doing so much, hurting so many people's Medicaid, hurting so many people's pensions, especially teachers, just being a flat out asshole.
Yeah.
And
they barely beat him. So that shows you. Barely. So any blue will not beat him. This guy was so awful and barely beat him and stuff. And it's going to take a populist next time around to beat Donald Trump.
And it's going to also, just because this is happening on the local and state level doesn't mean that Donald Trump is going to lose. A lot of people make that mistake. Usually it's actually the other way around. It's like, if they lose here, they win there. Yeah. So this is not any guarantee that this is how it's going to go. Not at all.
Nothing.
Because it's a different sort of type of race.
Different. Yeah, so, way different. So.
Good for Kentucky. Virginia, though,
yes,
took back the entire state government. So they took full control of this time in nearly 3 decades. And they won majorities in both chambers of the legislature, and a massive shift of progressives, too. So not just Democrats, but some progressives won there. I was told 2 progressive Latinas won on the local race. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people who won were pushing Green New Deal type of proposals. So the Democratic candidates, including Green New Deal backers Joshua Cole, Ghazala Hashimi, and Dan Halmer, flipped at least 5 Republican seats in the House of Delegates and at least 2 in the state Senate, overcoming the GOP's thin majorities. The Green New Deal champions like Democratic Socialist Lee Carter, who won last time, he's a hardcore Democratic Socialist, and Kelly Converse Fowler and Del Elizabeth Guzman won re-election. These are the progressives that won last time, and they were able to be re-elected. And
can I read that?
Yes.
When Nancy Pelosi and corporate Democrats try to argue otherwise, it's nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to shut down progressive policies and protect the interest of corporate donors. Johnny, was that not good? And that was Varshini Prakash of the Sunrise Movement.
So,
come on, baby.
So this is funny because Nancy Pelosi just said socialism isn't going to win the electoral college. And she's wrong. Obviously, these ideas aren't even, it's not about it being socialism. It's about it being paying attention to working people and economic policies and stuff.
Yeah, it's a populist movement.
Exactly. And again, like the Green New Deal is important to people, the progressive movement. Most people are there on that. But this is just important to show that if people are actually willing to go there, if these people are actually willing to cater to their constituents, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. This is Virginia. Virginia is a southern state. I mean, it's one of the 13 colonies. I mean, it's Virginia. It's not necessarily a bleeding blue type of state. And so if a Democratic Socialist can win in Virginia,
yes,
a Democratic Socialist can win the entire presidency. And now people are saying Bernie Sanders has a really good shot at winning a place like Kentucky.
Yeah.
But that's Bernie Sanders. I don't necessarily believe Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden have really a shot in winning anything.
Bernie Sanders brought Utah into play last election if he had won. You know what I'm saying? Literally, they had numbers that he could win. He could beat Donald Trump in Utah. So he put places on the map that were never, ever been seen to be blue, even though he was running as a Democrat. It is because it's a populist mentality.
Yeah.
What are we going to give to working class people? People are done with the titles. They're done with the ideologies. They just want to know how you're going to help improve their lives.
They're done with the platitudes and the fancy politicians.
Our values unite us.
Yeah, fuck that. And especially the people in the Midwest and the South, they see you in a suit and they're like, well, you're fake. You know, they want someone who can shake their hand and talk to them, look them in the eye and say, hey, I'm going to work with you. We're going to take care of this. That's why Donald Trump won, because people genuinely believed he was going to do something about it. And so another populist movement is the only other movement to defeat that right populist movement, because for whatever reason, he's not providing what he said he would. So now we need another populist movement. These moderates and centrists, because there was a lot of Democrats who won that weren't necessarily, leftists. They were saying, "Oh, see, moderates only win. Moderates can only win." Da 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 da. And that's that's not the case. It's just like these Republicans are so bad, and and people were just ready for something else. And that's the thing. If you give people a reason to vote for you, they're gonna vote for you.
Yeah.
Another woman that I want to point out that it's just kind of funny. So this woman who flipped off Donald Trump's motorcade got actual karmic justice, and she was also in Virginia. Her name is Julie Briskman, and she announced last year that she was going to run for a seat, and she won to represent the Algonquian district. And it's funny because she flipped off Donald Trump's motorcade, and she also got fired for doing that from her job. And so it's kind of nice because now she's representing the district where Trump's golf course is at, and she lost her job initially for doing that. So it's kind of full circle that now she is representing a district where Trump's golf course is, and a lot of people are happy just because it's Trump. But to me, it's like I'm like happy. Okay, let's see how she does. I don't know anything about. She's never run for office, so there's really not much to know. But I hope that it's more than just Donald Trump. Like that's just not Trump. Yeah, I mean, but I think it's just funny. That is karmic justice in a way.
And just for note, we don't support Donald Trump here. We're not voting for Donald Trump, whatnot. We just don't we want something more than just anti-Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Really, something policy-wise. But she received more than 50% of the vote to 46%, with more than 91% of precincts reporting. So that she's pretty much
solidified. Yeah. Hopefully she can hold on. So.
Yeah. So
there was something else really big last night, and I think it really kind of echoes what we heard when we went to Jimmy Dore last week. 2 weeks ago, Dylan Ratigan was there, and it was awesome. And Dylan Ratigan had made a statement that he thinks that third parties are on the way, no matter what, because I believe it was in Massachusetts, even though both parties were fighting against ranked choice voting, it had passed. So even though that this machine of money was against ranked choice voting, it was still able to. And to Dylan, he had mentioned that was a sign of more of this to come. Well, last night, and Vox reported here that New York City adopts ranked choice voting as a major milestone for the reform. Fam, you always talk about ranked choice voting. I believe you've asked a couple candidates about ranked choice voting, and some of them didn't even I have to look into it more. But why don't you give us your analysis on what ranked choice voting it is and how important it is in a primary?
So Tulsi Gabbard is one of the candidates that supports ranked choice voting, and I asked her that here. But it lets voters decide the first place, second place, and so on and so forth. And this is good because it gives people more of a choice, and it gives it more of a balance. So each voter has only one vote, but it indicates their backup choices. So one candidate has an outright majority of the first place ranking, and then that candidate wins. So it becomes a traditional election. You just keep voting until there's only one candidate left.
Yeah.
And in that way, it's more it encompasses more of a fairness, because you can just have more of a majority, take more into considerations what more people decide, instead of saying, oh, it's all or nothing. You're like, okay, well, this is my second choice. And then it allows that to build up into something bigger. And this can apply to any race, not just a presidential, local, any race. So.
Yeah, I always pay attention to second choices, especially even in polls. It means a lot and stuff, because you see a lot of people in these polls, Biden won South Carolina, but who was the second choice to Biden? And a lot of other people's second choice kind of go in there. So it gives you an idea of what's going on. It's like, okay, we like this person. Biden might be my first choice, but Tulsi's my second. And if Tulsi's the second choice to this person or that person, that means a lot for those people who might not necessarily be at the top, but they come with good ideas, they come with good policies, they come with good character, and therefore their voice should continue on in the discussion. And it also allows for third parties kind of to get in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A Green Party candidate might not be the top choice. Like, oh, I have to vote for this Democrat because I don't want the Republican to win, but my second choice is the Green. And you start seeing that. It starts raising the voices and the whole mentality and power of that party to allow us to get more parties in. And that's what we need. We need more than a two-party system. So that's what this is lays the groundwork for.
And it forces the candidates to have bigger support because now they have to engage with more voters. Because you're not just going to cater to your centrist, because that's not all that's going to matter. Other people are going to vote too, and they have the ability to put you as a second choice, third, fourth. And if you suck, and if you only cater to a certain audience, you're not going to have that broad support. So in this case, candidates that are more progressive or more cater to a wider audience, like Tulsi Gabbard's, like the Bernie Sanderses, would be more likely to win in that case because they don't just have that centrist, Democratic establishment support. Their support is more broad.
Yep.
And this is why this is revolutionary. This is actually one of the most important things that I think people should be celebrating. From last night, more than anything, because this is if it works in New York, and New York is like California, a pioneer in a lot of things, it can expand into a lot of places. And I would say I would advocate here.
Yeah. And like you put here, ranked choice voting, it increases the numbers of minorities and women's and candidates. And not just that, poor people from these small areas that might not have a big financial support behind them, their voice will be heard. And if they get into a debate, somebody will be like, oh, that's Jonny Tsunami's my first choice, but that young lady over there, she really said some good stuff here. She's going to be my second choice.
Right.
And that momentum will build. You will get points. It's not Top Gun. There are points for second place, and that is important. Because if you're in that top three and you're buzzing and you're saying stuff that really grasp at a lot of different voters, that's positive for more democracy, for more parties to open up down the road. So I think it's a great thing what happened in New York. I think it was huge. Huge. And we should see a lot more. Hopefully a lot more states will do that. I really
and thank you to all New Yorkers who voted for that. I mean, I know it was the majority of our progressive fam that probably voted for that.
We have a Super Chat contribution from Reeve Barker. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution, Reeve, and it is always appreciated on this couch. He says, update on the San Francisco DA race. Harris, want to be a must be stopped.
I pulled up something. It says San Francisco District Attorney's race. Susie Loftus leads Chesa Boudin by a scant 240 votes.
I was waiting on the results for that one. So Chesa is like the Democratic Socialist. That's the progressive guy, and he was winning yesterday, and now he's not. So, and it sucks because district attorneys are really important when it comes to criminal justice reform, police brutality, prison reform. Chesa looked promising, and it was very, very close. We're not even sure yet because they're still counting the votes. But
this one was updated as of 2-3 hours ago.
2-3 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's send some quick shout outs real quick. Dude. Jesus Zamora, Jack Smith, Ruben Masaga, G. Hello, Frederick Murray. Cam Schwari, Kate, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. Love you. Digital Graffiti, Miguel Santiago. Happy birthday, buddy. That's treasure. Larry Jenny is there. Carrie Mark, we love you, Carrie Mark. Frederick Murphy, where you been, brother? Reese Mack, how you doing? Saul, we love Saul. Better call Saul. And that's Saul Construct. Pork Chop, Aaron Matei. Manny, Jack Smith.
Pork Chop, Aaron Matei?
Pork Chop said something about Aaron Matei. Deep Space, my bad.
Rocket Fuel.
Rocket Fuel, we love you. Cannabis Sativa. I'm Cannabis Indica.
I'm Cannabis Sativa.
She's Cannabis. Carly D, thank you so much for joining the Convo Couch and over on the Facebooks. Steve Wilbrant was there. Deborah Mays, Scott Dakota, Tony Humanic. How you guys doing? Lane Farmer, Rod Stiffington. Did I miss anybody? Did I say Scott Dakota? We love Scott Dakota.
Hi, Scott.
Juan Perez, Ginger Liberty, and over on
all the fans
Twitch,
are there.
Twitter. We have anybody over there hanging on out? Ladies and gentlemen, remember to go over to our Rockfin, ROKFIN. It is a crypto-based currency platform which really helps us out because we talk about suppression. We talk about YouTube. We talk about Facebook. We talk about Jeff Bezos and Amazon in Twitch. Since they censored us, we haven't got nothing.
We have
Because
MCSC network as well.
we're on the MCSC network. Yeah. Do we have anything you want to say hi? Because I never plugged in.
Yeah, we have 200 people watching on MCSC. Riley Rage, Silver Surfer, Ari Magoo, Terry Quillett, Kyle McDonough.
That was a nice attempt at a Russian.
Supposed to be Irish.
Irish. I'm sorry. I'm like getting my Russians.
Stephen Young, Lawrence Johnson.
Bots in here.
Deep Space. He's on both.
Deep Space on both.
Wolf Bear 7. Jenny Hansen. Neuromuscular.
Woo.
David Jandro. Thumbs up for us. Natalie Travis.
Hi, Natalie.
What's up? And
I saw Terry Oswald there too, right?
Oh, Dr. Phil's there too.
Dr. Phil, how you doing? I got an issue I want to talk to you about after the show, please.
Democracy's on there.
That's what we're trying to bring, some democracy. Ladies and gentlemen on the MCSC network, thank you as well on our brother channel, sister channel. Come on over to the Convo Couch YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. And if you're on the Convo Couch YouTube and you haven't subsubscribed to the MCSC network, please do so.
Subscribe to both, fam.
Let's build the platform
Come on,
together.
fams.
Let's build it together. We got some peeps over there. Fam, no show on the Convo Couch would be complete unless we talked about your girl.
Or my boy.
Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
So Bernie finally pushes back on Elizabeth Warren's plan, saying his is much more progressive, but he does push back in a Bernie way. And we know what we mean by that. He's really nice about it. So he warned about Warren's head tax. We kind of talked about it the other day. It's kind of confusing, but she basically terms an employer Medicare contribution, and he thinks that could harm the workers' wages and suppress job growth, which he's entirely right about that. He said, quote, "I think that would probably have a negative impact on creating those jobs or providing wages, increased wages and benefits for those workers. So I think we have a better way, which is a 7.5 payroll tax, which is far more, I think, progressive, because it'll not impact employers of low-wage workers, but hit significantly employers of upper income people." And he's entirely right. The problem with her head tax is basically, if you make, whether you make 60,000 or 200,000, you're still going to pay roughly the same amount. And a person that is being taxed, an employer that's being taxed and is having to pay out of pocket $9,500, that's a lot of money compared to Bernie's $1,200 if you're making low, and gradually gets bigger if you make more money. And so he pretty much, there's a transcript. Johnny, if you can put the transcript, so I'll let people look at exactly what he said. He pretty much said, it depends on
Sanders' voice, though.
It depends on how you define a tax. No.
Everybody
Well,
loves
it
your Bernie
depends
Sanders
on
voice.
how you define a tax. As I understand.
I'm not a New Yorker like you.
Senator Warren is placing what you might call an employer head tax on $9,500 on every employer who employs more than 60 people. And that means for that employer to hire a new person, it would cost an additional $9,500, which is different from the $27 you can send me. Paying somebody $30,000 to $40,000 a year, yeah, it's a big chunk.
Right, exactly. And so, no, that was really good, fam.
You.
So,
a big
again,
chunk.
For Bernie, you would pay $1,200 a year instead. That's like a huge difference. Yes. And it's not only that, that's only a small snippet, but if you multiply that by all these employers and all these people that are doing it, it's going to put the burden again on the employers that are the small employers, and then they're going to put it on the workers, and they're not going to give them, it's just going to be a mess. Yes. And so a lot of people have been talking about this. Matt Brunig is he has a think tank. He's a progressive guy on and he wrote this thing attacking, and he got into it with another pro-Warren guy, basically that Elizabeth Warren's was a disaster, and we went over it, but this is a chart. I just want to show the chart because it makes it easier to understand how much you would pay under Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan. And it just tells you, if you have an income of $29,000 a year, you pay $0. And then for $30,000, you pay 40, and for $59,000, you pay on the $30,000. So you only pay $1,200, and then so on and so forth as it goes. It's just simple math, and it really works out that way, because should a person making $30K or $60K be paying as much as a person making $200K? No, it should be a gradual payroll tax, and Warren's plan doesn't take account to that.
Yeah,
So.
and you said we had something on the show the other day. I believe you said that stocks they just rose because you could see that she's going to cost you $9,500 a year.
Whether you have 60 employers or whether you have
exactly, and she's going to $9,500 compared to $1,200 is a huge difference.
Yeah.
So that money, I think that's why the insurance companies were still set and their stocks went up because people know they're going to still get their bread and butter if Elizabeth Warren is elected.
And not only that, I mean, she said Medicare for a long-term goal. Like, let's be real here. People are still trying to like paint it like she's going to, do anything like for anybody else. But really, the bottom line is she's really not. And I think that's it. I mean, I think we pretty much summarized it. Oh, well, Bernie said in his Bernie way, I want to talk about what Elizabeth Warren said because this is funny. So Elizabeth Warren said Bernie may have a different vision of how to pay for it, but let's be really clear. Now she's taking Bernie's phrase. Let's be very clear. Bernie and I are headed in exactly the same direction. And that is that what $11 trillion that families are going to pay over the next 10 years in out-of-pocket medical costs will go away over the next 10 years. Here we go again. And she said, Bernie and I were out there strengthening America's middle class. I love it. She continues to put herself as the Bernie equivalent. Like, Bernie and I, we're on the same page here.
People are buying it, though, fam.
And people are buying
People
it.
are
Some
buying
of them.
it. Yeah.
Not a lot of us. Well,
Come
that's
on.
a whole other story. But
Jeez.
a lot of us, we know what Warren's going to do. She's signaling to the insurance companies. She's signaling to a lot of people. She said she was going to take corporate PAC money in the general, not just corporate PAC money, but any money in the general. So, and she's already taken it, of course, as you all know from her Senate campaign.
Yeah.
But do we trust her to implement this in a short amount of time so people get it? No, we don't trust her. Her plan is still, the wording is there in order to allow flexibility in case she wants to step back. And that is a reality. And that is why I do not trust her. And she said, she told ABC, all I can say is that employers will pay the same as they're paying currently under Obamacare. In fact, they pay a little less. We stabilize it at 98% of what they're paying right now, and they won't have to have HR departments that are wrestling with insurance companies. So this is something that's going to help employers. So this is what she said as far as her criticisms go. And again, comparing it to Obamacare is a fail because Obamacare isn't doing what it should be doing. So having the people who push the ACA write a Medicare for all bill is not necessarily the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, and that's the biggest concern for me because listen, Bernie's plan right now, if Bernie gets elected, that's not going to be the plan that's going to go into place. That's the jumping off point. They're going to have people come in the room, sit down, because you're not going to get that passed right away. You're going to know right off the bat there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to go for this bill whatsoever. So now you have Congress to deal with. So now you're talking about the people who want health care reform. Well, what do they want? Because they're going to say, listen, I'm not voting for this bill unless you move this part out. I want that part changed. I want this added on. It's just a jumping off point. So
you don't start low though. You aim high.
Listen, I understand that, but I also want people to understand very clearly that when Bernie Sanders becomes president, it's not this plan that's going to be acted. It's got so much stuff to do.
And here's
so you have to care about the ideology, what he's trying to do, and the people he's going to let in the room. And that is why, when it comes to healthcare, I'm not so critical of Tulsi Gabbard because she mentions all the time who's going to have a seat at the table to sit down and write this bill and make it law.
As long as it's not the insurance companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she doesn't take money from
pharma.
them.
And she
but
doesn't
Elizabeth
have a daughter
does.
who So that's the thing. But also I want to point out there's two ways of looking at it, right? There's just a pragmatic way that Elizabeth Warren's like, well, we have to look at this and we need to make sure we're going to have to negotiate and this is how I'm going to pay for it and blah, blah, blah. Then there's Bernie Sanders, who is more of an idealist. Bernie Sanders is like, has these big ideas and like, that's why I identify with him because I'm that kind of person too. And he's like, no, we're going to do this no matter what. And we might not know exactly how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And it's going to require you to go and demand this. And he wants you to go to the streets because the American people haven't done that for stuff like this.
Yeah.
They just don't do it enough. It's not big enough. And we actually need to do that. You see what the Yellow Jackets are doing. You see what all these movements are doing everywhere. We need to actually be on the streets like, not leave it up to them negotiating. No, we need to go and demand that they pass Medicare for all, because people are dying, and this has been a long time. They've been talking about Medicare for all and single payer since the 90s. Nancy Pelosi was there. Oh yeah, I'm for single payer years ago, over 30 years ago. And so, like, no, it's time for people to actually get involved, literally, physically, use your bodies, get involved. And Bernie Sanders is counting on that.
Yeah, and like somebody was like, and we're way past the point of like having resolutions in my mind. Like there was a city council resolution vote going out about saying that they're going to stand up for healthcare. I always look at who people are signaling to throughout this process. Elizabeth Warren has signaled to the big pharma that she will be a friend of theirs, okay? That's the reason why their stocks raised, and everything she says, even with the plan right here where it's going to cost you $9,500 compared to $1,200, she's signaled to them the whole time that I'm going to be good for you, okay? And long term, and using that kind of language. So really, to me, it's about who people are signaling to. Bernie is never signaled to Big Pharma. He's always told them that they're wrong in what they're doing. They're wrong with their prices when it comes to their prescriptions. So they're not going to have a seat at the table, and that's why I love this whole situation.
And not only that, she has literally based her on, I'm the only one that told you how I'm going to pay for it. I'm cutting taxes.
Yeah, that part.
I'm not raising taxes on the middle class, and she's lying because she is. She's just doing it in a way that it seems like that's not what she's doing. And bottom line, Medicare for all is a tax cut.
Yeah.
In general, because you're not going to be paying those premiums, those copays, and all of those out-of-pocket costs.
And
so
ACA
that's the way we got to look
fam,
at it.
That too. The ACA people, you talk about it all the time. Now they're coming into the fold and they're writing into
why are they
even have a seat at the freaking table? Is that MCSE or ours, Johnny?
Oh, we have like 3 on ours.
Okay, so
let's look at some.
Let me go to the super chat contributions before we get to the in the news part. We're not going to do a big foreign policy thing today because we did it last night. If you haven't checked it out, go back and check our show with Mark Sloboda. We talked about Hong Kong, but we also talked about China as a whole. We talked about the Uyghurs and what's going on in Western China. When people talk about the Uyghurs and the problems they have there, right?
Mark Sloboda, who's been on Crosstalk, on RT, who's been on Sputnik,
Yeah.
Sputnik.
Appreciate the guest. You're doing good work. That was Anthony Penza. I don't know if you're referring to last night. Jose Cadena, thank you so much, Anthony, for your super chat contribution. And Jose Cadena, thanks for the Katie Porter video. Had no idea. Yeah, Jose, we show up to those places. We went and talked to him. And let me tell you something. We have conversations in this room all the time. As a business, we're all trying to get better at our craft. So that was just the beginning of showing up at these places. Now we get showing up to these places, fam. We've asked the questions. We've walked the walk. We've talked the talk. Now we have a little bit more knowledge about what to do. So I think there'll be some fun stuff coming on this Democratic convention. I'm starting to get a little bit amped up for it. Oh, my God.
I can't wait, fam. We're going to go in there and...
Yeah.
I'm just pissed Tulsi's not invited.
Danny O'Brien, thank you for the super chat contribution, and it's always appreciated on the couch. You retracted your message. If you want to put it down below and we can find it, Danny, if you want to ask another question, you bought into a super chat. You deserve your question to be heard, just like our message deserves to be heard. So go ahead and post it down below, and we'll do it there. Do we have a super chat contribution on the MCSE network?
I haven't checked.
All right, we're going to check over on the MCSE network, and we'll probably get to it at the end of the show. Let's finish this up, fam, because you did have some information here, and it's kind of attached on to Bernie Sanders.
Right. So in the news now, Bernie Sanders was told by by Newsweek, they wrote an article saying that he has, according to a poll of over 1,000 people, Bernie Sanders is the best on healthcare compared to Warren and Biden, the best on the economy, the best on the environment, and immigration. And this is a new 2020 poll, and I tend to agree with that. These are all domestic issues for the most part. These are all issues that he has been focused on, and the people that they compared him to were Biden and Warren. Of course, he is far better on them than on all those issues. He's actually on domestic policies, in my opinion, he's the best one, hands down. And I think people see that. People trust him too. Yeah. It's another thing. It's like you trust him to implement Medicare for all. You don't trust Elizabeth Warren to do it. She's been shifty forever on a lot of things, and so that's another thing. In other polls where it indicates who do you trust more, Bernie Sanders always comes up on top.
Yeah, and that's important because in the next election, it's not going to be voted upon policy. It's going to be voted upon trust. It's going to be voted upon your resume, and you're talking about 30, 40 years of history of fighting for the little guy, of standing up for the little guy when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to immigration issues, we're talking about the first gay parade in Vermont. You know what I'm saying? Bernie Sanders, okay? You know what I'm saying? So he has a history, and that's the thing. I hear a lot of people who go, well, Tulsi's really, really good, and I love Tulsi. You know I'm all about Tulsi. But she hasn't earned the trust when it comes to these domestic issues.
Right.
She hasn't been around. So I
and
think
she's
people
young
have to,
and has the opportunity to do that.
But she is definitely
on foreign policy,
nailing it where the president has the most power. Hey, guys, hey, ladies and gentlemen, hey, progressives, you want money for those nice things like Medicare for all, education? You want money for that stuff? Tulsi can find that money in a heartbeat because you know why? That's where we spend most of our money is on our foreign policy, on our defense budget. You cut that at the knees, you have money for all those other things.
At least even if it's for display, because we know we can have that money. Yeah. But at least to shut these people up on how you're going to pay for it, well, we're going to use all this military money, which is her idea for the most part. And I think you can combine Bernie's economic plan with hers of slashing the military budget, not on veterans and not on people who want to serve their communities, but on the war machine, which is an entirely different thing. And sometimes people don't know how to differentiate between those two. Yeah. Because yesterday someone on Twitter was like, or this morning someone on Twitter was like, Tulsi, how can you be a fan of Tulsi Gabbard if she's signed up to go to war in Iraq and she cares, she wants to eliminate terrorists. It's like, but how can you be a progressive if you only care about people of color, immigration, and issues here, but don't care about people being bombed of color and people being hurt over there, and the thousands killed and the destabilizing of nations and the regime change wars that cause more immigration? Like, that's hypocritical. Like, you have to look at the whole thing, and I think this connection is the one we need to make in this next election.
We definitely do, and I'm good with that connection because and I said to you the other day, I'm like, fam, don't say I'm Tulsi without saying I'm Bernie, because I'm Tulsi Bernie. You know what I'm saying? Because if Bernie wins the nomination, I'm ready to get in the street and fight with him. But I'm going to push him to have Tulsi be part of that cabinet because she's the only one to display that she knows what's going on with foreign policy.
And I think a lot of people would be threatened by that.
They were.
Because they think, at least we can manipulate Bernie on foreign policy. This is why Tulsi's voice is so important. Yeah. Especially as she's gaining traction everywhere. She's absolutely gaining traction. Colin Tiernan, who's her press guy, posted several pictures of all this media trying to talk to her. And it's a good thing because she's reached out to independent media more than anybody else. And now the mainstream media is like, ooh, we like something. She's controversial. Whatever it is, I think it helps get her message across. That's all she cares about.
My head's tingling because you said she goes on independent media, and I just remember the time she sat in the seat. So it's like, woo, Tulsi was here. But that's how great that she'll come out and talk to independent media. And even when Mark Sloboda was telling us yesterday, he appreciates the fact that we're going into foreign policy and stuff like that, because it's not just progressives who are compassionate and don't want to see him bombing indigenous people and people of color all around the globe. It's also the financial part where the libertarians are on board and those independents that say, hey, man, if we don't spend all this money over here policing the world, we can spend it at home. Now, what the establishment does is they always go, well, don't listen to these nationalists. They just care about us. They don't care about the Uyghurs in China and all this stuff.
It's the opposite. Yeah. We don't care about those people. We literally destabilize them to help our empire. It's imperialism. It's Western imperialism. And that is one thing that Ilhan even pointed out, even though I don't even think she knows the scope of that, but it is Western imperialism is what we need to stand against. And I think Bernie is the guy to do that with somebody like Tulsi, because I think when she was on his ear, when it was foreign policy, he was doing so much better on foreign policy. And I think, like I said, she, like you said, she still needs that time to earn the trust domestically. But I think, like I said, those two forces combined are just unstoppable. Yeah. Unstoppable.
You ever see when the blackjack dealer goes like this? It's it. It's done. It's over with. Leaving. Tulsi, Bernie, done. Over with. Let's talk about Tulsi. She went on The View, fam. Some of your favorite people are on The View. Donnie, I think you want to talk about, play this little clip here.
Joy. She used to be a Bernie supporter.
Joy Behar was one of my favorites. I used to see Joy Behar go on Bill Maher all the time, and she was one of my favorite progressives at the time.
Oh my gosh.
But the problem is people stay in their own bubble and they live in their own bubble. They don't forget what it's like to be poor. They forget what it's like to not have health care. They forget what it's like to not stretch their dollar to buy the house milk instead of a good brand milk, to buy knockoff products instead of the. I'm serious, because they have to do these things because they're pinching dollars and stuff. You know what I'm saying? When the choices are just like, hey man, I got to buy the supermarket toilet paper because it's $2 less than the regular good toilet paper that might be better for me. You know what I'm saying? We have issues, and these people like Joy Behar, they haven't been in that. They've been outside that bubble for a long time, like Bill Maher, and they forgot what it's like to be poor. And rather than standing up to the establishment, they go ahead and they go and they wag their finger at poor people and people who have no power and say they got to get on board and just vote to get out Donald Trump. But Trump, they're still living on this.
Yeah.
And Joy has been so off kilter and been so wrong towards Tulsi Gabbard. I'm glad that Tulsi went in. And you know, Tulsi, she got a little savage on her. Let's take a look at the video here.
Yeah, right. So let me put some
Johnny,
context
go put
here.
some context in there. Show your picture, baby.
So basically, when
beautiful tsunami
this
face.
is the wrong one. I made a new one. Did you guys see that?
What's that?
This one. Oh,
hey.
no, it's not that one. It's not that
nice.
Look at
Sorry,
that.
Guys. Hold on. Where is it?
Oh, that's Natasha. Oh my God, Johnny, you're
Where
bringing up
is it?
bad
Where
memories.
is it? Where is it?
All right, he's got it.
There it is.
There he goes. Tulsi says the slays the view.
Here it is. This is the new one.
There it goes.
Okay. Okay. Good
Everybody
job.
say hi to Johnny Sue. Give some thumbs up and some loves for Johnny Sue. Saul goes, go ahead.
So basically, remember back when the whole Hillary and Tulsi thing happened, right?
Yep.
Basically, everyone was talking about it in the news, right?
Yep.
And we did a video on it. We were live streaming, and then I was like, oh, hey, did you know that they talked about it on The View? And so this is that clip here that they talked about it on The View back in October 21st.
We watched this, me and you together.
And this is just a little context to what Joy Behar said, what she says.
She's just going after Hillary. And like you said, Hillary was right about almost everything. She's been exonerated with that nonsense that they pulled about her server already. So, you know, and this idea that she's doing this to get back in the race, that she said that also, Tulsi. I don't buy that either. I don't think Hillary wants to go through it again. So I think that there's something, I don't say that Tulsi is an agent. I just think that she could be a useful idiot the way Trump is a useful idiot to the Russians. Yeah. That they see something. They say, oh, look, a useful idiot. Let's play this. And another point, the Republican Party knows that they cannot win without interference from Russia.
She's so... What happened to this friggin' woman? What happened? This is that... You know... I'll let Tulsi slay her.
Right. So she called Tulsi a useful idiot back then. Yeah. So
no,
now,
you know what she said too that was more disgusting than anything? That Hillary was cleared of everything. What are you not paying attention to, lady? Are you really that freaking demented? I mean, you could say that Donald Trump is corrupt, but freaking so is Hillary Clinton. What is this whole level of that hypocrisy? Like the guest yesterday. Oh, I can't believe that you're going to sit here after you've been an apologist to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and excusing all their mess ups, that you're going to say that this level of atrocity and hypocrisy that Donald Trump is so much worse than ours. Get the F out of here.
Yeah, it was disgusting. So then today, as of 3 hours ago, Tulsi was on there, and The View only released like an 8-minute clip of it.
Yeah.
But I got the whole thing for our viewers. So,
Johnny Sue, you know,
this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna
ones and twos.
We're gonna play most of it, and we'll stop it when you guys see fit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Hawaiian Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's presidential campaign has gotten both sides of the aisle fired up for different reasons, and she's joining us back at the Hot Topics table right now. Please welcome Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay.
So, before I ask her the first question, what's happening with the telescope and the stuff?
Oh gosh, the challenge is ongoing. The challenge is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
What is that?
So
Just explain.
they decided, it was decided that they were going to go on sacred land.
Oh yeah.
And put up a telescope and do all this stuff. And the Hawaiians said, no, you're not going to do that. So it's been a fight. Tulsi's been at the forefront. Yeah. And I try to bring it up, you know,
I remember.
when I can, because it's, I think sacred land is sacred land. You can't, you know, you can't
anywhere.
mess with it. So I have have to ask you this instead. So we were just talking about EU Ambassador Sondland changing his testimony yesterday, that he had to be refreshed about quid pro quo, and you've been skeptical more than a lot of the Democrats about the impeachment inquiry. Were you surprised by what he did yesterday?
Well, look, the facts are important, and we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
We're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. That's why I ran for Congress.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in context of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at that.
All right, let's break this down a little bit before we get into the clip, because now they're going to play that stupid, oh, I wasn't you game. But before we even get to that dumb shit.
You see how just off the bat, she just...
Yeah. Tulsi went right after it, and then Joy was like...
Tulsi knew that they were going to do that. So she knew that they were... Tulsi's very smart. And I love that she said, I am a patriot woman of color. And you know what? Tulsi never uses identity politics. And I love that about her, because she doesn't lead with it. Yeah. She doesn't just say, "Oh, you should elect me because I'm a woman," or "You should elect me because I'm Samoan," or "You should elect me because I'm a woman of color." "You should elect me because these are my policies and this is what I believe in." And that's what she leads with. And they forced her to say, "I'm a woman of color," because guess what? She's not a woman of color to these Democrats, these establishment Democrats that constantly attack her and constantly put Kamala as the woman of color, as the victim, and they dismiss Tulsi as if she doesn't count. And so now she's using that against them, like, I'm a woman of color, so here I am, like, attack me now.
Yeah, well, I like...
that was great.
It's awesome. And I noticed the same thing, because I saw you say it, because it's like, she doesn't lead with that stuff. That's not important to her.
Yeah.
She understands that the people are going to vote for her not because she is a woman of a color. It's going to vote for her because of her ideologies, her poly position, her heart, her honesty, her character. And those are things that people are going to really matriculate to, because that's the things that matters most. But to put it in their face, like, hey, man, like, you guys always sit here and you play these identity politics. Well, I'm a woman of color, too. And I can just see a lot of people who are watching The View, and I think it's great that she keeps going on, because she is picking up momentum, because it's those people that are sitting with their aunt, that those are the neoliberals that are the niece. They're like, who is this woman? Oh, she's a woman of color. They're starting to look into these things, and they're starting to gravitate to her. And it's like, wow, man, that she stands up to these identity politics all the time, and she's a woman of color
and
herself.
She seems honest. She doesn't come off as a politician. Yeah. She comes off as somebody like, hey, I care. I love my country. And that's what some on the left criticize her for. Oh, she's too patriotic. It's like, well, Do you want her to hate America? I mean, I'm not like I said before, I'm not like a super like fan of the flag person, etc. But I can take her patriotism because it comes from a sense of wanting to progress. It's not like a jingoistic sort of patriotism, like I love America, I'm never going to criticize America. She's criticizing America constantly,
and that's
but
what a
she
true
still
patriot is.
loves her country, and there's nothing wrong with loving this country.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that clip that you showed from back when Joy Behar was there, not only that, but the lady, I keep forgetting her name, the Sunny, was disgusting. Was repeating.
She just happened to not be on The View today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That happened, and she won't be there with him and stuff. She doesn't have the balls to be there and face Tulsi and stuff. But Joy was cheerleading it on. She was propping up all the bullshit. She was joining in. And for Joy to say those things the way she is, Joy Behar, look at me. You're canceled from Pasta Jardula. I held on for a long time. We had our shtick together. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Boca Raton. I let you go. I loved you, lady, but you let me down so badly right now. And for you, and people were saying on our chat that Joy Behar doesn't even realize that she is the useful idiot.
Yep.
Exactly. And, you know, it's great because, you know, Tulsi started to ask her, you know, a question about the impeachment thing, you know, some bullshit, you know, the Ukraine bullshit. And then she just like, and we'll get to that later. And then she goes into her thing.
Yeah.
She's like,
and Joy was like,
She drove and
I didn't know we
controlled.
were going to do this.
She took control of the situation.
conversation,
She's like, how dare you try and smear me
Yeah.
and not think that I saw that and then come here and interview me and then just try to ask me some bullshit questions. No, I'm going in and...
Translation was, the chickens is coming home to roost, Joy Behar.
All right.
We got more?
Yes. Yeah, 10 minutes
And,
more.
and big up, props to Whoopi Goldberg. Kind of,
Yeah.
You know, Whoopi's moving in a good way and Joy's moving in a bad way because Whoopi had really pissed me off and I already canceled her years ago. But the fact that she brought up the Mount Kea, the telescope and what's going on, that she's looking into stuff, she's paying attention to some
Whoopi
stuff.
likes
and,
Yang, which is really interesting.
And big ups to James Roguski for pointing out all that stuff with the telescope. I didn't necessarily agree with his direction on what Tulsi should do, but he was there to point it out and let a lot of progressives know what was going on. So James Roguski has some videos if you want to go over and see them over there. Please go check out James' work. So let's get more to this video and then we'll have some super chats after.
Not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's a favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, you know, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
So are you surprised, though, that when people see bots and things and all the things that we've sort of been seeing heading your way, that people have these questions? Because she's not the only one. Hillary, I don't think, is the only one. So what she's saying is she feels they are grooming you. You're saying nobody's grooming me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm a soldier and a patriot.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in
But you
such
called
a way.
her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. I'm speaking out against that and
What's
to
your evidence
change
to that?
To change.
Well,
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I
she
served
said
in the
thank
war
you.
in
Not you,
Iraq.
her. You're saying that she's-
exactly.
she's a
I served
warmonger. How do
in
you
the
come
war
up with
in
that?
Iraq
Yeah.
that she championed. She championed a regime change
Did
war
you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
Can we stop that real quick? I I mean, like, what's the evidence of that? Are you living in a friggin' bubble? What about freaking Syria? What about Libya? What about Honduras? If you don't know these things, and that's what I'm saying, the level of knowledge of foreign policy from this whole country, fam, it sucks. It stinks like poo-poo.
If people in Honduras can tell me that Hillary Clinton destabilized their country and caused them to move, and they can go, and now they're in the caravans and they're in Tijuana trying to escape the violence in their country that Hillary Clinton caused under the Obama administration. If a person from Honduras who doesn't even speak English can tell me that, and she doesn't know that, that is her privilege. She should be. These Democrats love talking about privilege. You're privileged to not want to vote for anybody to beat Trump. You're privileged, I get called, for wanting to challenge the system. No, it's privilege for you to sit down and pretend that none of that is true when the evidence abounds. And you're telling a sitting congresswoman who has lost people close to her, who has put her life on the line for this country. How does she know? Well, she knows because she was entirely affected by it her whole life. And all of our lives now have been entirely affected by the actions of people like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Johnny, you got the video?
This is what you need to see. This is what you need to see, Joy.
This is all you need to see.
This is all you need to see, Joy.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
Disgusting.
She's a psychopath. She's a fucking, she is literally the rot. She's the queen of the Democratic Party, the queen of the warmongers. Tulsi was nice. I would have described her far worse.
We have, by the way, 317 people watching on the MCNES-SC network on YouTube and 277 people watching on the Convo couch.
Fam, you're saying we have over 600 people live watching?
We
right
do,
now?
because we got 20 people watching, including Sarah Williams. We love her.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah Williams.
Sarah Williams. Mia Mitz joined the stream.
Mia.
Hey, Mia, it's good to see you on the stream.
couch.
We shouldn't talk too much because some of those California Democratic friends might get on your ass for watching us, but we love you for watching it. Don't worry about them. We got your back. Rod Stiffington there too as well. There's a lot of great people that are on, and thank you so much for supporting us. Before we get to the super chats, should we finish up this video, Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
There's still like 8 minutes left of this
go.
video. You know, we gotta hear this.
Okay.
It's good stuff. It gets even better.
It is indisputable. It is indisputable to say anything other than the fact that Hillary. Let me just close this out. That Hillary Clinton, throughout her career, has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that. I'm running for president to change that. Rather than actually debate me on the issues, she and others are resorting to these smear tactic campaigns, seeking to undermine me, smear my character, and sending a message to anyone who dissents: toe the line, or you too will be smeared.
One thing you have not been afraid to do. This is what the show's for. So thank you for coming on. This is what these conversations are for. But one thing that you've not been afraid to do is go up against your own party. Yeah. You even threatened to boycott the last debate. You say that the process has been rigged. Do you think it's been rigged against you? And would you ever run as an independent? Because you heard Hillary Clinton say that. There are other people that think that that's something that you will ultimately do.
No. Very clearly, and I've said no every time for months that I've been asked that question.
If the party's rigged against you?
Because I'm running to build a new Democratic Party, to take our party out of the hands of the corporate special interests, the greed and the warmongers, and actually make it so that our Democratic Party is a party that is of, by, and for the people, fighting for peace. Our party used to be the peace party. What happened to that? Actually be the party for the people, protecting our planet and fighting for peace.
Yeah, well, I think my biggest problem among many with Hillary's comments were if that were something people in Congress actually believed, there should be an investigation.
Exactly.
And they're not doing that, and I think you can't just throw things like that, which is trafficking in McCarthyism all the way. The term Russian asset goes back to the McCarthy era, and we can't be doing that to people who are veterans across the board.
Or to anyone.
Yes, to anyone, but specifically the only female combat veteran running for office. You evoke really strong reactions from people. I know what that's like, from the left and the right. And you seem to be a threat to both sides. Why do you think you trigger so many people in so many different ways? Because I don't completely understand it, but I myself am a trigger, so maybe that's why I don't get it.
Because I'm speaking truth to power. And those in power know they can't control me. So they view me and the truth that I'm speaking as a threat to that power base. Whether you're talking about the military-industrial complex or the political elite who are in power in both political parties in Washington, those who would rather do all they can to maintain their own selfish special interests, to include self-serving politicians, rather than actually being a champion for, being a voice for, and speaking up for the people in this country who are struggling and who are facing many great challenges and who I'm seeking to serve.
All right.
We're going to break. All right. We'll be back with
Let's
more.
stop it really quick.
Let's stop. You know, when Meghan McCain, first of all, Meghan, if something doesn't happen with your relationship, and I'm single, hit me up when you say words like that.
Oh, people are gonna cancel pasta now.
No, I know, but that's not the truth. But when Meghan McCain has the best, has the best talking point on The View, I think it's time for everybody else on that panel to rethink their lifestyle and where they're going. I mean, I think Whoopi has definitely had a pretty decent show over here, but everybody else, if Meghan McCain
is the voice of reason,
exactly, then we got some issues on the left.
Like,
we got some serious issues on the friggin' left.
You guys gotta be like,
Please.
I mean, you can't stay in this neoliberal hole of like Russia, and like, and Tulsi made the clear point that I wanted her to make. She's like, because Meghan said, "Oh, I don't understand all of it. Like, well, you're attacked on the left and the right." Tulsi's like, because I'm speaking truth to power. Yeah. Saying those words, first of all, that is an activist call. Like, activists out there, we say truth to power. We got to speak truth to power. Saying that is a big deal for me. Number one. Number two, saying that it's both parties, it's both people, the establishment is why, because I'm challenging them and they can't control me. She's letting you all know that it's the powers that be, and it doesn't matter whether they have an R or a D next to their name if they're establishment.
Anthony Penza says, thank you and appreciate the great work that you are doing, and we appreciate the Super Chat contribution. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Oh wow, you said it different. Thank you. It was refreshing.
Well, I mean, there's some other super chats that I can get to that we can definitely hit this here. Let's see this one right here. Did I miss one? It says Baltazar. Hey Baltazar, where you been? Funny how the one calling everyone criticizing her a Russian asset is herself Russian bot. Can we all agree McCain is the useless idiot?
Well, she's not even being an idiot right now. She's actually being the voice of reason. But of course, she didn't have to compare herself to Tulsi because, I mean, that was a little much. But
Philip Blair says, patriotic friend of our Constitution, Tulsi Gabbard, caught Hillary Clinton cheating from within the DNC. Hillary Clinton mad, Hillary Clinton smash. Thank you for the super chat contribution, Philip Blair. It is always appreciated.
She said it. She said they cheated. So that's another thing she said.
Johnny, roll the tape. Let's get more.
Got it. Sorry, I was just sharing the full link.
Yeah.
Yes, guys, the full link is here because it
might get
not
removed.
everywhere.
It might get removed, so
it will,
and we can't repost it. So,
no.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard when we come back. So we are back with Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
So, I just want to straighten a couple of things out. I've never said, and I don't think Hillary Clinton thinks that you're a witting asset. You might be an unwitting asset. Not that that means you're stupid, but people can be used.
Well, that's exactly what it means, though. That's exactly what it means.
The other thing that confuses me, wait, I have one more question. You're on state TV all the time. Why do you go on Fox TV? Fox Channel, which is a propaganda network, 16 times with Tucker Carlson. I never see you with Chris Wallace or that other guy, what's his name, Brett Baer. Well, why aren't you on with them? They're definitely middle of the road. Why do you go on with Tucker, who's a liar and a propagandist?
So let me start with how offensive it is to say that I am a witting or unwitting asset of a foreign country.
Tell us.
Working against the interests of our people and our country, the country that I am willing to lay my life down for. So if you're saying it's not deliberately, then you are implying that I am too stupid and too naive and lack the intelligence to know what I am doing. That is extremely offensive.
Can I get you to put the quote up?
Everyone
you guys
of color.
Put the quote back up, because I think everyone is sort of missed something.
What are we missing?
Well, I think what you're missing is that asset had nothing to do with Tulsi. She was talking about Jill Stein.
Actually, her spokesperson confirmed it.
I'm not making it.
They called you a Russian doll.
Her spokesperson confirmed it because some of the media followed up and asked for her spokesperson to say what she meant and confirmed that they were talking about me. So there was no mistaking that.
Right. Okay, well, that's clear.
Well,
I want to pause it and say,
Please, go,
Whoopi,
Johnny.
Whoopi was trying to deflect and from the fact that Joy called her
a useful
idiot.
And
yeah. So.
Yeah, well, that's Whoopi bad. That's Whoopi being Whoopi, whatnot again. And I hate this whole dance about, oh, well, she really didn't say Tulsi Gabbard. No, they confirmed it was Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Not only after when Tulsi Gabbard said, and by the way, Rob Z left a super chat contribution saying that Tulsi qualifies for the November debate, Tulsi 20 in Westwood, California, right? Is that true?
Did she?
Tulsi qualifies for the November debate.
That
had to happen right
maybe
now.
Maybe that's breaking news.
That has to be. Well, we'll look into that one now.
We looked into it and she hadn't. So.
But they still have always tried to do this dance around of, oh, she really didn't mean him. She wasn't talking about her and whatnot and stuff. But Tulsi wasn't having it. She squashed it right away. She went after Joy. And Joy, once again, with the whole like, oh, Fox TV is propaganda news. It's terrible. What is MSNBC? What is CNN?
Right.
Tulsi can't even get the fair platform over there because as soon as she goes on there, they start talking about the Assad apologist shit. It's terrible. It's disgusting.
And she's running for president of the United States. She's running to get these independent votes, these Republican votes. Bernie got some crap when he went to the Fox town hall because that was the dumbest thing. Even when he went on Joe Rogan, people were giving him shit for it. And all it did is help him. Republicans like Bernie. Independents like Bernie. Same with Tulsi. They're able to talk because they have the policies to back them up. They're not just able to rely on identity politics and baseless platitudes that serve no purpose other than to just fill a void. And we need to talk to people we don't agree with. I can't say that enough. And they know that and they understood that. And I think, you know, bashing her for that is ridiculous when Tucker Carlson treats her better than any of the CNN pundits do. Sadly, but he does.
And not for nothing, Tucker Carlson has done probably better work than most people on CNN and MSNBC, especially when it comes to foreign policy. Okay,
and Jeffrey Epstein, right?
Yeah, I mean he's gone to those places. Well, no, there's been a few people on the right have done some good work on the right when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fox News,
because the left is not allowed to speak about Jeffrey Epstein, and matter of fact, they're allowed to go there and make jokes about it and tell people that they're crazy.
Because who was
and laugh with Trevor Noah about Hillary Clinton killing people.
Because who was on the Lolita Express 27 times?
Oh, that was Bill Clinton.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying, which we'll talk about more too as well because there's
nobody's praising Tucker Carlson because I know we're gonna get that. Oh, why are you praising Tucker Carlson? He's a racist. Yeah,
I'm not praising him.
That's exactly.
But I'm telling you, he's done some good work on foreign policy and has asked some good questions. Okay.
And I think he is also the kind of person that's just a freaking caricature to his base, and that's what he is. That's what a lot of these people are. You know, Tommy Lahren and Anna Kasparian are friends in real life. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
How can she be friends with a racist? Well, maybe because these people are all full of shit. It's just all for show, and you know, it's the unfortunate thing. Let's continue.
Yeah.
The quote that we saw, I'm sorry, I just want to point out the quote that we saw wasn't...
Well, they never named her. They never named her.
She's talking, assuming Jill Stein will give it up, but she might not because she's also a Russian.
I mean, this was after that quote was made.
Right.
Media across spectrums were reporting about what Hillary Clinton just said about Tulsi Gabbard. You raised the second issue about why I go on Fox News.
Yeah.
I go on Tucker Carlson, go on Bret Baier, go on Sean Hannity, go on MSNBC, go on CNN. I am here to speak to every single American in this country about the unifying leadership that I want to bring as president. Not just speak to those who agree with me.
It's nice to think that could happen.
To speak with those who may disagree with me, recognizing that I'm asking for the opportunity to serve every single person in this country. We have to come together.
Joy, you
for our country
Fox.
and our country's future.
You used to do Fox Friends.
They lie all the time.
Well, I think the reason why so many Republicans respond to you is because you don't treat us like we're garbage. You actually care about the audience and care about reaching out, which to a lot of conservatives, which by the way, you're going to have to win them over to get to the White House one way or another, is important. And I think just negating all of Fox's audience, I called Elizabeth Warren to task on it.
Not their audience. We're talking about Tucker Carlson right now.
I'm there to speak to the audience.
Liars.
They both have some of the largest audiences on television, say. But I do want to ask you something else. Kamala Harris said recently that her race and gender are, quote, the elephant in the room, and that many still question if America is ready for a woman, and specifically a woman of color, to be president. And you're also a woman of color.
Yeah.
Is that you feel been a problem for you? And do you agree with her?
No, I think the American people are ready for a president that will put people ahead of politics, put people ahead of profits.
Then why is she saying that, you think?
You have to ask Kamala that. I can't speak to why she's saying that. But what I've seen in our travels across New Hampshire, we just came from New Hampshire yesterday, across the early states, we have some New Hampshire people here, is we are building a coalition of support that is very diverse. Yes, it crosses party lines. People who are looking out for the best interests of our country, which, by the way, makes me the best candidate to defeat Donald Trump so that we can then begin to do the very important work that begins the morning after to bring about the systemic change we need to see to take our government back from the rich and powerful who control it and make it so our government is truly of, by, and for the people.
So yeah, let's just really quickly.
We'll just power through it, and then we'll make a little comments on it after.
Well, okay.
Oh, you want to make
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Kamala, of course, that's all she has.
Yeah.
Is the identity politics,
Of course.
and the Tulsi's not gonna say that, but that's all Kamala has. And notice she has mentioned she's a woman of color, but now she's not dwelling on it. She's like, I'm the person that's going to represent people, etc. And Meghan McCain, again, being the voice of reason, saying, hey, they have a big audience that you have to talk to everybody. Tulsi just reiterating what we've been saying here, that we need to talk to everybody. And Elizabeth Warren refused to go to that town hall. And that to me says so much about how she is going to lose to Donald Trump. The only person, and the reason I always say Bernie is the best guy to beat Trump, but I also think Tulsi can beat him. And here's the thing. She's never considered in these polls against Donald Trump. They only consider Biden, Bernie, and Warren. So when I see that, I'm usually like, oh yeah, Bernie's the one that can beat out of those three. But if Tulsi were considered, I would also say she can beat Donald Trump, specifically because, like Bernie, they have crossover appeal. Yeah. And I would even say her appeal is even more diverse because she has been her tactic has been to kind of reach everybody, Republicans more than just the centrist think tanks. So
yeah. Well, somebody said on our chat, like, Tucker Carlson's the only one to speak up against the military-industrial complex on TV and the elites, whatnot. So, once again, the truth is the truth, no matter whose mouth it's coming out of. You might not like Tucker Carlson on certain things.
I don't like what he says, and on race and immigration, I can't stand what he says. I consider his comments racist. I consider his comments derogatory, especially as someone, as an immigrant, and I hate it. But when he's right on certain things, and that's the thing. And the sad part is she has to go on shows like that because they're not giving her the time of day in the left media.
Yeah, and we have 400 people on the CONVO couch. 400 people on the MCSC network, YouTube. 330 people on the CONVO couch, YouTube. There's a lot of people out there. Johnny's waving hi. Alex Lopez left us a super chat contribution. And thank you, Alex Lopez, because it is always appreciated on the couch. He says, hashtag Tulsi 2020. And the last super chat contribution we have going right now, for the ones and twos, Matt Ides is showing some Jonny Tsunami love. Thank you, Matt Ides, for your super chat contribution. Do you want to finish this up, or is there anything else?
There's just a minute left.
Let's finish out the last minute.
Let's just finish this up.
You wake up as president. Do you say, first 5 big companies are going to return money to the people who are here? Maybe mixing up some of Andrew Yang's plan of how to do that. Do you say you're going to be able to write stuff off again so you can take your family on vacation if you need to? Is that your day one?
Yeah, I think day one starts with making it so that, for example, with healthcare, we do not have big insurance and big pharma at the table as we're writing legislation to make sure that our healthcare policies are actually serving people and not driving up their profits.
But you're going to give us some money back?
Yes. The money, look, this is a fact, though. The money has been going. You have all these tax loopholes and giveaways that we saw with the last tax bill that was passed by Trump and the Republicans that were, by and large, a huge, huge boon to those with the very most and leaving the rest of us behind, maybe with a few crumbs along the way. It's completely changing the paradigm of what our government is doing and who we're serving.
Right. So day
putting
one,
people first.
You putting us back.
Day one and every day that follows.
You're not going to take my gun. Appreciate that too.
It's kind of funny too, there, right there, Johnny, because I think she's listening to Fiorella. Fiorella says, I think Tulsi might be listening. Well, she's listening to you. She read the audience in the room. Day one, and what really, when Whoopi Goldberg said those things out of her mouth, I immediately I wanted to go to Mark Sloboda and say, what were the 5 things she will do the first 5 days of her presidency, which she can do? Because when you look at the Constitution, we talk about Commander-in-Chief, the powers. They direct the FBI, they direct the CIA.
Yep.
She doesn't need to go back to Congress. She doesn't need to sit in a room to get stuff done when it comes to that, so she can save a lot of money right off the bat.
We were talking about this the other day.
Yes.
What can the
president
do? What is
right?
within the power? We have to look at the history. What have presidents done before?
Yes.
And then we can lay out a plan
exactly
for the president to take on day one.
And I think it would be an awesome game to play with Mark Sloboda. I'm going to send him out. Hopefully next time on the show, he can say we can pull the troops out of here. We can lift the sanctions over here. We can do these things that a president can do. Because even in fact, with the AUMF, and Congress has given the president more powers as commander-in-chief to just go to war without even the permission from Congress. So that's where a lot of the powers lay. But, fam, she's listening to you. She looked to the audience. She said, day one, I'm going to go after the tax cuts, right? I'm going to go after what he did tax-wise and put money back into everyday people so we can have health care. Yeah. So she was reading the room, and she understands that those are the most pressing issues on people. They really should be the other way around. I think they should be more about where we're concentrated on because that's where the power lies. But she's understanding that is the key issue.
Yeah, it's immediate
Medicare
concerns.
For all.
Yeah,
it's
immediate concerns. People are
minds.
dying. People need to eat. It's all these things. And again, that's what she needed to do. And she is listening. You're right. She is listening to us.
Yes.
She's reading the room.
Oz LaFave says they get view of what courage looks like. Courage.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the audience is kind of liking her, and that's the thing. Tulsi is appealing because you can't put her on a box. You can't say, "Oh, she's this, she's that." Like she's criticizing both parties, and that's what we need to do is criticize both parties, not just focus on Donald Trump, but focus on what got him elected, right?
Yeah, and Meghan McCain, the voice of reason on the View.
This is ridiculous. Never would have thought. I severely dislike this woman, and I think lately she's just been understanding things and progressing on her ideas, whether it's an act or not, far more than any of her cohorts. And Peter Douche too, or Peter Dow. He's been attacking the Democratic Party and blah blah blah. Well, Peter Douche is a better version.
And she said something that really resonated with me because we've had some fights within the Democratic Party here in California, and somebody recently just called me trash because she said my candidate was trash and I was trash for supporting it. Meghan McCain came out and said it. She goes, I think the thing that's great about you is that you realize that you don't call us garbage. You don't put us in a box. You realize that you have to win us over to get us to get involved with you. And she says that I'm going to be the president for all Americans, not just the Democrats and stuff like that. And the fact that she doesn't demonize and she goes and talks to them, and the fact that Joy Behar is speaking out against her going to talk on Fox when she used to go on Fox herself all the time. Please, she's so canceled. But thank you, Meghan McCain, because even though I haven't liked you and a lot of views and a lot of the ways...
Now he wants to go on a date, so Meghan McCain,
she's married.
Send him your...
And she says she still wants to keep her guns.
That's the thing.
I don't want to get shot.
It's funny she says that because Tulsi has said she wants to have a little more strict control on guns than just simple common sense legislation like what Bernie wants.
Exactly.
She doesn't want to have a gun buyback, in other words.
Yeah, but she's not gonna literally go and Beto your guns. And I say Beto because he was like, I'm gonna take these
now
guns.
You can but and once again, here's the thing. When it comes to, I believe when it comes to all these mass shootings, all these things going crazy, all roads lead to Rome. It's economic unrest. When people don't have resources, when they have to fight, when they're economically cut off, they start blaming people that don't look like them. You know what I'm saying? And that's where that enrage kind of starts. I'm not saying it's the root cause of it. I am saying it's the root cause.
But
there might be other issues. It's not the only cause, but it is the root cause. Because when people are suffering and therefore resources are pulled for them, they start the people start attacking each other.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing when I always say don't play the game of the elites. Their number one game is to pit us against each other so they can steal and run off with all the resources.
And the gun issue is such a it's like people are never going to agree on that, but what people do agree on is we need some sort of legislation, and we also need to fix our economy so everybody has the mental health care they need. So we're not just giving guns away like it's like in Florida where you can just go buy a gun and and not have anything checked. I mean, it's like it's all systemic. These are all systemic issues happening. Yeah. It's not just isolated events because other countries have as many guns as we do, and they do not have the level of mass shootings that
Yeah.
we have, and it's a vital concern to have. I mean, especially to people that have been affected by it. So, I mean, I think what Tulsi and what people like Bernie are doing is they're having common sense legislation. They're not saying like others who are like, oh, we're going to take all guns away or we're going to cancel all guns. I mean, that's just not a realistic thing to do.
Yeah.
So I was saying in the chats, people were like, "Oh, who watches The View?" "Oh, and I'm grateful for our viewers and our subscribers and everybody. We're in a good bubble here. All Door fans, everybody, Kyle Kalinske, but we're a bubble. A lot of people watch The View.
Yeah.
And what I like what Carly D said here. She said The View is for middle-aged housewives who barely pay attention to politics.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then. Let's see. Mike Walker said The View has the largest audience of any political news broadcast, and then
It's
even
a lot
in
of women.
even in the commercial, in between this segment, they claim that they're the most biggest political TV show on the network, on TV or whatever.
Yeah. They are. They are.
So the fact that Tulsi can just come on there and just really just present herself as a strong leader, which is what she is, the most important political TV show in America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And here's something too that's really great too as well, as I think she's dolling herself up a little bit more to look, you know what I'm saying, to really connect. Tulsi is analytical as can be, man. She is thinking, she's playing chess, you know what I'm saying? So she understands that there are voters out there that she can grab. And even the way she attacks Joy and put her in a place is a very calm, cool way where it's not too, it's not tacky or tasteless.
Her voice
not over the
doesn't
top
raise to a certain level. She gets
Presidential.
more stern, but she's still very composed about it, and that's the military thing, and that's what a lot of people criticize about her, like how she's not emotional enough. But at the same time, it's like if a woman is too emotional, they also criticize that too. So let her be. This is the way she is. This is a military thing, and I think you're seeing more. She's opening up more. You're seeing more of that side. People like to see emotions to a degree a little bit, to have that empathy show, and I think she's reading the room better, as you said, and she's showing a little bit more. She's listening
to you, fam. She's reading the room. She's reading the room. 342 people watching on the Convo Couch YouTube. We have almost 400 people watching on the MCSE network. So Mike Fagan, Jacko here, Glory Jones, Mattel Peru, get on over to the Convo Couch YouTube, sign on up, like, share, and subscribe.
Everybody on MCSC,
thing.
come on over.
Yes.
Come on over to the Convo Couch.
And if you're
please.
on the YouTube and you haven't joined up and subscribed to the MCSC network, go do so. We're one big family. And thank you for all of you people watching on the Facebook. We're going to blitz through 2 quick subjects real quick. I'm just going to put up a few things. We did a big foreign policy show yesterday. If you want to dive into China, we asked questions like to Mark Sloboda. Is China the authoritarian evil empire that we are led to believe? Are they jailing Uyghurs left and right, 1 million? We talked about all these issues. It was eye-opening. I learned something every single time. We also talked about the history of India and Pakistan and understanding what's going on today. We talked a little bit about what Bernie said, what Tulsi said. It was a great show. It was a long show. Yeah. We picked his ear, but Mark Sloboda's got a lot of great things to say. He's been around. So there's a couple of things, because Mark Sloboda also follows a guy by the name of Ben Norton, who I love. Now, I want to just put this up right here because I saw a show last night after the show, and it was talking about, Peter Lavelle said on Crosstalk, he goes, what has Donald Trump really done? Why does the deep state hate him? Because the deep state now it's unveiled. We know the Clappers, the Brennans, all the people working in there, all these people who want to infect a policy without running for office themselves. They just want to do it through the intelligence community. That's who the deep state is, and we know who's connected to it. And even though their mask has been pulled off their face and we now know who they are, why do they hate Donald Trump so much? Because nothing has really changed. Here's Donald Trump's USA, his United States military, and what they're doing now in Syria. They didn't pull troops out. They just moved them around. Look, fam, they're guarding oil fields. Friggin' oil fields.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That is Donald Trump. Not only, and he was really honest about it, they're going to steal the oil, they're going to protect the oil, and they're going to give it to whoever they want. And why? Where are the politicians? Where are the Democrats? Where are the progressives? Where are the liberals? How are you allowing this to happen and not calling him out on this? But you're going to call him out on a bullshit freaking phony phone call from the Ukraine? This is disgusting. United States military at work.
And Tulsi said she wanted to return the oil, leave the oil.
she'd leave Syria.
Yeah. She's like, return
period.
the oil to the Syrians.
Pull all the troops.
Because we need to rely on something else other than oil.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a double whammy right over here too. You know what I'm saying? Where are the climate change people? Okay, where are you guys at?
Yeah.
We're using our troops to guard oil fields in the middle of Syria.
Just because it's not here doesn't mean it won't end up here. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect us, you know.
Well, here's something that Philip Blair said on the Super Chat contribution, because we were talking about guns. The gun club loophole. In other words, you can go to a gun show, whether it be in Vegas, whether it be in Texas, whether it be in California. You don't have a waiting process. You buy the gun right there and you walk out with it. And Philip Blair says, want fewer refugees from the Mexicos? Maybe stop flooding the Mexicos with black market guns.
Yeah.
Because we saw many of documentaries on this where guys would go, they would just buy a ton of guns and they go outside the gun show and there are cartel members waiting there to buy the guns.
Right.
All the guns that are used in Mexico are made in America.
Made in America.
And you know what we're giving them? We're giving them some democracy. We're giving them some democracy. Last thing on the foreign policy note, all those pro-democracy protests, fam, that we talked about in Hong Kong that had all these nefarious characters from the get-go. The NED, the National Endowment for Democracy. Where's my girl Rachel Brunke at? Give me some reports on the NED, which is CIA light, using American taxpayer dollars to fund these disgusting regime change wars and coups and antagonize and put fuel on the fire. Here's a Taiwanese man flew into Hong Kong, robbed a shop at gunpoint, then flew back to Taiwan. Like the Hong Kong man who murdered his girlfriend in Taiwan, he won't be prosecuted thanks to the U.S.-backed protest that canceled an extradition treaty proposal, because that's what it was all about. The only thing that they really wanted to enact was a extradition treaty, saying that you can no longer go hang out in Hong Kong or Taiwan because there's no extradition between both and commit murders and crimes. The man who stole the shops, it was watches. He got almost $1 million worth of Hong Kong currency and went back to Taiwan. And guess what? They can't go get him. So thank you to Jimmy Lai, Benny Lai, all those guys, whatever you're calling yourselves nowadays, all the oligarchs. Fam, would you believe it? It's all about the oligarchs over there too as well. The oligarchs who have bought people within our government, who there's pictures with them, with the Boltons and the Pompeos and other nefarious characters, and that's who's been fueling these protests. And these protests are getting awful. They're wearing, you can see them wearing the gas mask, all black. Who's providing the gas mask? Who's providing all these equipments? Who's providing all the rods? And they're taking it out on the poor people of Hong Kong, the people who own small businesses, the metro. People can't use the metro. Do rich people use the metro, fam?
No, fam.
When you use the metro here or anywhere else,
No.
do rich people use the metro, Johnny?
No.
No, it's the poor people. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to cause a society to crumble from within. And more than anything, what they're trying to do is keeping this going on. And this is your taxpayer dollars, ladies and gentlemen. The National Endowment for Democracy gets taxpayer dollars that you are paying for. They're trying to antagonize Xi Jinping, who's the leader of China, and bring him in and make him bring his military police in. Okay, so therefore the United States can turn around and say, look what they're doing. They're evil. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Police
Still
killed
trying
one
to
person.
paint that picture, right? But they are authoritarian. But
They are authoritarian, but we talked about this last night. And you should go, well, they're just about as authoritarian as we are over here. The everyday Chinese citizen.
There's authoritarian things going on in every single country,
yes.
basically.
Fascist things. We're a fascist country
and
over here.
We've been programmed to think that China's the only one doing it, along with Russia, the only one doing it.
They got 1.2 billion
I disagree
people.
with that.
Yeah.
And then just to end the show, the last thing I want to do is just show this real quick. The berry brusa is a wild pig whose tusks can grow so long they curve backwards, ultimately impaling their skulls and accidentally killing themselves. Unlike Jeffrey Epstein, who was killed on purpose.
That's funny.
Hashtag
got him.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And guess what? Who's coming on tomorrow, fam?
Ron.
And
Graham.
Okay. What are we going to talk about?
Epstein.
You better believe it. We're going to talk about some Epstein when they come on the show.
He didn't kill himself. Fam.
And then tomorrow night, we are going to UCI to talk to some students about independent media.
We're going to not just talk to them. We're gonna freaking radicalize them.
We're gonna radicalize.
They're gonna come out there with hammer and sickles out of their.
All right, fams.
I gotta go.
Yeah, there were over 700 watchers today at one time. That's a new number for us. We appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get off. We have a few appointments to go to. But remember, we have a Twitch, a Twitter, a Rockfin, which is very important. ROKFIN. People, just go over there and join up. You don't have to necessarily endorse and spend the $10. If you do have the extra $10 to endorse us, please endorse us. It helps us out. And this is really good for the creators out there. The people who get their voices suppressed and blacklisted and not talked to on YouTube because they are owned and not regulated by the left, by the establishment left, and they want to keep our anti-war voices down. Rockfin is the cure for that disease. ROKFIN. Go on over, take a look. And, of course, we have our Twitter, our Twitch, our YouTube, our Facebook, and the MCSC network, our Instagram, the whole 9 yards. And if you got a few dollars to spare, our information is down there for the Patreon. Thank you for all our patrons. And I want to send a special shout out and love to our man, Michael Cruz, who has been with us from the beginning. Michael, I love you. And we love you here at the couch, and we will always support you. And if you ever need to reach out to us, we love our fams. Because our fams are our fams. Okay.
Yes, fams.
For Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella Isabel,
Jonny Sue, spinning on those 1s and 2s.
Bye. Convo out.
Bye, everybody. Join us tomorrow. We're talking Epstein.
Peace.